Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we have Dave on. Dave has been, oh, and who else was with you? Who's our
And
special guest?
Poncho Wolf Boy.
Adorable. Dave has been and is in the Krum, Starving Wolves, and the Casualties.
Yes.
And newest to the Casualties, and they just did an album not too long ago before the apocalypse.
Yes.
And we'll talk about everything that's going on. Dave, welcome.
Cool.
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real good. Just here in Texas and dealing with, I guess, what everybody's dealing with, going into a lot of uncertainty. But, we're like, as a musician, we're just dealing with this mystery of what's next and a year and a half of not being out. And it's such a hit to the music world. That's what we do. We go out, we play. We're like, you're like an evangelist for what you believe in, what you care about, and we're not out there. And Saturday is my first live show out, and it's starting.
Nervous?
Man, you know what? I'm not nervous until I get there. And
I almost don't even mean about the music because you've been doing that. There's a special butterfly music nervous spills people get. I'm talking about you haven't been out in a large group of people. Is this going to become a super spreader? Or is this going to be the coolest event ever and the beginning of something good? And it's nobody's fault. I'm not trying to say anything that's not true. That's just in the back of every place in everybody's mind. That is always in the back of my mind. That and are there sharks? That's my other thing. And
yeah, it's like, part of me was going, should I fucking play this show? We just went into another higher level here in Austin, and I was thinking, I don't think this show is gonna go through. And there's a lot of again, I'm just kind of sticking with this word mystery of what to do. I'm vaccinated. I wear a mask out. I promote that. I try not to be too much of a hater without understanding other people's views. Like, for me, I believe that there's a fucking virus out there, and we need to do the best that we can to take care of each other. So, I don't know. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do this show. I'm gonna see how it works. I'm not quite sure if they're gonna spread it out. I do know Friday night the Descendants and Rise Against are playing, and they just canceled the show in New Orleans because the vaccination rate was like 30%, and it was indoors, and they felt uncomfortable about that, and so. It's rough, and I'm nervous, but I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna continue to ask people to stay safe, get vaccinated, do the best that they can, and we'll fucking go from there. That's all I can do.
It's hard because being in a band like yours, the essence of punk and just whether it's popular this year or not, or it's what I mean, or it's a hot topic, the group like hot topic type of thing, or it's actually really just true punk or whatever it is. It's kind of punk is really who you are and how you appreciate it. But that being said, the essence of it is really being in your face and being close, and there's a camaraderie. You guys are so close to people. That's the hard thing to do because of all, like for hard rock and metal too. You got hits. And that's kind of the essence of what the music is. So to be separate in punk is like, I don't know. It's like eating rice with your fingers.
It's not right. And the other thing is, it's like anybody who's familiar with what I do, and I know we have. I'm so excited to do this because you have a whole nother group of people that may not have heard my music. And I always say this to some people: my style might not be your thing, but I guarantee if you come to the fucking show, you're gonna have a good time. I'm known like in the crowd. Half the time I'm singing out in the audience, no matter how big or small the show is, and we huddle in and we sing together. And jumping off of everything I can into the crowd. That's how I got into punk. And that's what, it's not even what I try to carry on. It's just what's inside of me. And it's funny, everybody, since this hit, I get the same kind of joke. Well, I guess you're not jumping off anything into the crowd, are you? And I started to think about that, and I'm like, I can't really do that, because the thing is, I put my band at risk. I put my family at risk. I put everybody around me. And so there's a real fucked up situation. I cannot stand barriers between me and the crowd. Casualties played a show in Poland. It was this festival, and no joke, it's like 500,000 people. It's like a 4-day festival. I've never seen anything like this. Maybe like I've never seen a crowd this big. And there's cameras on lines and the whole production. And the other guys, I've been in the Casualties for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
The other dudes have played this festival, and they were kind of joking that was huge. I didn't comprehend what they meant. We went out, we played it, or when we got there and I saw the crowd, I couldn't even comprehend. It was like I was numb. And even being up there, it didn't feel real. And it was funny. I kept thinking, how am I going to get out to this crowd? And anyways, there was at least 35 yards between, or maybe about 25 yards between us and the crowd. Somehow I brought this microphone all the way out in there, because for me to get this vibe, I want to touch the people and do something. So it was cool, but no matter what, that's what I want to do, is contact with people. And this is gonna be different. And
it's for safety. It's not for censoring. It's not for being like who you are. This is a safety thing, so it might be a little easier to digest. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna do my best to try to figure out how I can use this negative to my advantage, to our advantage. So we'll see, dude. But if you take every day and keep worrying about why, how, I don't know why, I don't know fucking how, but I'm in it. So I'm not gonna worry about why is this happening, or that kind of bullshit. I'm gonna worry about how can I safely connect. And it's funny too, because you have, punk comes from a very anti-establishment, anti-government, everything anti. And a lot of that is in my heart and got me to where I'm at. But it's funny because you have a lot of people that will pissed off. They're writing negative messages, like Punk Rock Bowling is in Las Vegas every year. The Stern brothers from Youth Brigade put on this huge festival in Las Vegas. And they're saying, if you're going to come to the festival, somehow, I don't know how they're going to do this, you have to have a vaccination card, and you have to be tested within 48 hours of coming. How is that going to be done? I don't know. But you have a lot of people that are like, fuck you, punk is anti everything. I can't believe you believe in this COVID bullshit. Well, I've been in Brazil. My roommate's been in Ecuador. I have family all around Mexico. And it's like, this shit is real. And in the United States, we have enough money that we can hide things. And maybe not hide is the right word, but we can take care of these people. There's not dead people in the streets,
right?
But other countries there are, and you cannot deny when you see that kind of death.
No, it's ridiculous. I mean, and that's the thing. I'm not against taking out anybody's rights to do anything. This is, and it's not about being a Republican or a Democrat or any of that garbage. It's about just knowing that just your elderly neighbor could get sick from a virus on a simple level and die. I'll wear masks. I want somebody to die. That's it. It's not about I have a choice. You literally, I could take it off in front of somebody. What are you going to do? Get arrested? No, I do have a choice. I choose to want to make sure I do everything I can to get vaccinated and be safe for everybody because I would hate to be the one to give it to somebody else or carry it. It's not worth it.
Exactly, and it's that old fucking saying: you don't know what you got until it's gone. And then
Yeah.
when you realize you were part of what happened, it sucks. And you know, it's also funny as we get older. There's certain things that we have in us that we carry on and we need to work on. And some people they choose not to work on themselves, and they're the same little shit back when we were kids. If they had the opportunity to fuck everything up for attention,
Everybody else. Yeah.
they're gonna do it, and they can't help it. And those are the same people that are just little fucking assholes. What are the those funny terms they say like libretard? I'm like,
Yeah.
get the
I
fuck.
know. I hate any words, good or bad about anything. I'm so tired of everything. It's like just shut up. Just shut up. Shut being capable. If you got time to complain, to go outside and do something different. You know what I mean? If you
Exactly,
can't
dude.
be positive, and here's the thing. I always think that punk to me, it always. I mean, it's maybe on some levels rebellious because it's about going against the grain, but it's actually on some levels it's always been more responsible because a lot of the anti-establishment stuff has always been against the government that may have not been acknowledged anti-corrupt or anti-this. It's always usually against things that are bad. It's never like we are punk rock and we are against you know animal safety. Like we're against animals.
Yeah,
Like what? Like it's never against anything bad. Or like we're against senior citizens. No,
yeah,
we're against the government. It's usually this corrupt politician or this or that, or it's a different fashion style because but the truth is, once you create a fashion style that's anti-fashion style, punk
yeah.
is its own fashion. So ironically, it's become its own thing by its own thing. And it's just a fashion style you like now. It's not good or bad. It's who you are.
It's so true, and it's like um, there's a great festival in Blackpool in England called Rebellion, and one thing that's really cool is to sit back and look because it is mainly, I would say, 50% of the people are over 50, and
Hmm?
that's very different from the United States, and it's really cool because there's people that are, you know, 70 years old, 80 years old that are part of the punk movement. So you have this long lineage now. It's not like 1985 when it was still kind of new. It's 2021. It has become a lifestyle. You know what I mean?
It
And
is its own institution. It's become its own kind of what it was rebelling against, sort of.
it has, and it has. But as long as we keep this kind of fucking, for me, this punk is about rebellion. It's about unity, and you could go down this nerdy hole and say, yeah, it's about fucking say like taking care of each other. But
It is.
that's what I'm into. Somebody wrote me the other day and said, oh man, I there's all these little terms that everybody has, but younger people have it. He goes, you really helped me, man. I love that posy punk. And I go,
Positive punk.
punk. I was
It
fucking
gets to be
helping.
better than a niggy punk of like being like I don't know, like a skinhead or something. I mean,
Yeah,
nowadays you don't want to go to pit and get your hip broke. You can be
I know.
careful, right? But like yeah, but punk and like metal and thrash and always like the evil of the heavier the music groups that were always the most aggressive and had the
Mhm.
most vocal things are really always the nicest caring open groups of people for age, gender, or whatever. Anything. Those are usually the nicest groups. They're always talking about, I'm not going to select other genres, but not those kind of genres. Easier
Yeah,
listening groups of you know what I mean, of supporting each
yeah.
other. It's like
Less.
that's always how it's been. So let's talk a little bit about when you play out prior to this, but even in any of your bands, do you think there's been a big difference like as times changed, like the crowds in the USA, because as we're talking in Europe, because Europe has always been a little bit more open, like it's never been as closed as far as like there's just have music, like metal and punk and hardcore and thrash have survived, and even pop bands from the 80s over here have found markets in Europe. You know,
Yeah, and
is there a difference in your audiences, like when you play? Do you think?
there are, and it's all, and this is funny, and this makes sense if you're out playing a lot. It's all the same anywhere in the world. People are the same. However, it's completely different. You know, it's like in here we have a lot of division, and but the reason I believe a lot of that division is because we have opportunity for bands of all, like if you don't want, like here in Austin in a normal time, you can go see any kind of band almost any day of the week. So it makes you kind of snooty about things. Oh, I don't like that band. Oh, I don't like this. You go to other countries, they don't have shit. Nobody goes there. And I've been very lucky in all the bands that I've played in. We'll play a big market, you know, and I hate that kind of words. I shouldn't use that, but we'll play like a big city, like, you know, Berlin or something. And then the next day we're playing in literally like a village town. And it's so cool. It's amazing. And it's one of the best parts about playing music and touring is seeing that difference. But to hit that question, in the United States, we have so much opportunity that we can be snotty about shit. You go to, you know, Mexico, South America, the crowd, you could have a punk band and then a pop band and a metal band all playing together, and everybody's just digging it because they're given something and they just want that fucking vibe. And it makes you very humble when you look at the reality of it. So it's cool. There's a funny thing in Germany. We call it the German compliment. And this is like a cultural thing. So they might be like telling you, they'll give you a compliment and then they'll burn you and then they'll compliment you again. So this is maybe my rude part of the Germans. They'll be like, David, the show was very cool show, but you were very unenergetic. It was a very weak show. Not the best performance like I've seen on YouTube, but I had a great time. And you're like, huh? So you have to do me a favor and ask another one of your bands about the German compliment, because it's like one of the oddest things when
I
you
will. I
first.
will actually make that one of my things I do. I will, because that is funny. Feels like a backhanded compliment, you know.
It is. It's real weird. They're like giving you praise, but then it wasn't quite up to their standard, but it was still good.
It's like this. It's like it's a checklist in your head of different things, you know. Just get like you
Yeah,
know where you fell in each of these spots here, you know.
yeah,
You got five here, you got 10 here.
you'll have one of those days where you're just exhausted and you're like, you know what, dude, not today. I don't need this today. You just walk off.
People don't realize, and I talk about this sometimes, is touring is like, it's like, especially as you get older, this isn't like the 80s. I mean, you're on a bus, you know, I couldn't get up in the morning without, you know, if I stay up late, you know, you feel the
Yeah,
next day. I couldn't imagine, good, if we're going to go to a concert, I got to plan everything out. You know what I mean? For myself to be part of it, a concert, not even be part of the band. And bands aren't complaining. It's just the energy level, your body recovery level is different.
yeah, dude.
And it's not easy.
It isn't, and I'll say a little something that hits on all three of my bands is I got very lucky, and I feel very humbled and very lucky to be in the position that I'm in, and it is because of the punk group of people that support punk music, but also when Krum first started, you know, the internet was still very, very new. And the way that punk kind of survives is when you're on tour, we don't make any money. And like you said, it's not the fucking 80s. And this is not a big, as much as you may see us now on the internet, that's because we do it ourselves. And because you see promotion doesn't mean we make money off of it. We do it because we love it.
And that's why I'm going to tell people, get the merch. We're going to have the links. That's what was the show. That's kind of what the show is to be. Hey guys, no one's touring.
Yes.
Go to the links. Support the music.
Buy the merch.
Buy the merch. Buy the music.
you don't make money off of shows. That just pays for gas. So when Crumbum started, we all lived together. We got this house, and we said, okay, how are we going to start playing more shows? Nobody really liked us or wanted us around, and they probably were right for that. We were little assholes, but we said, okay, when bands come through, we're going to open up our house and they can stay with us, and we'll just take care of them. And that's how we met the Casualties. Nobody that I know tours. Like they're notorious for touring nonstop. Boom, 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 boom. And we became like family friends, the Crumbums and the Casualties. And they took us out on tour. And that's how we learned. You get up and you play. You drive all night and you drive most of the morning. You get there, play your ass off, and you do it again. And you just road dog. And so when Crumbums took a break, we started Starving Wolves up. Our first tour was back out with the Casualties. And it's because I was taught that work ethic from them. So they knew we were a working band. We went out, worked our asses off. Then strangely enough, I played a show with the Casualties, and then we had such a good time, joined the band, and we tour. My first tour with them was a European tour directly into a full United States tour. And I had to beg for one day off. I was like, guys, at least every other week, I need one day because I can't take my instrument to Guitar Center. I'm fucked up. I'm tired. But, the other thing is when it gets done, you feel so fucking good. Like you accomplished something. It wasn't, we played 3 days and then we had 4 days off. We played 2 days and 5 days off. This band plays 6 to 7 days a week, 8-week tours. And it's in a van. And I'm not saying anything down about it. I'm lucky. When people really know how much money it costs to go on tour, I'm fucking lucky to do this, and I feel good. And we're talking about being nervous before every show. I almost throw up. Doesn't matter. Been playing for 20 something years. I'm nervous, and when we get done, I feel like a little fucking kid because the connection with people. It's you can't put a number, a price, or even a word to it. And there's some people that have never had shivers, goosebumps from music. And I have that every fucking night. And it's addictive, dude. And that's what keeps me at an older age able to tour.
Have you been keeping your voice together during this break? Because your voice is a muscle and it's been hard during this break to keep it going.
Dude, I just had my first practice yesterday with Starving Wolves. And I said, let's do about 75. I was only going to do about 50% of the set. And then let's stop. We went to about 75%, kind of went over stuff. But after an hour, I wasn't yelling, screaming, and singing. I was just talking. And so we're going to practice again tonight, tomorrow, and I'll take Friday off for the show on Saturday. But if I'm touring and I'm playing day after day, somehow this will work. But when I have days, if I have more than one day off, I'm fucked. It's funny. It's weird.
Well, a lot of people struggle. It's interesting. This is the age where, and I talk about sometimes like in different genres, different voices, how strong. And some people are they have to sing down lower, or they have, different things, Some people are lucky, but they don't have to do anything. I mean, some people can have that Sammy Hagar voice of leather where dude's like in his 70s and like, are you serious? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
dude.
So that's a gift. Not everyone's always going to be that way. Or you get the guy in Deep Purple, who's like his voice is got to sing lower now.
Yeah.
So for you really sing, hard every night. So it's a lot of work.
It is. And, as I have gotten older, the weird thing is it's like, all these things change that you think never are going to, oh, man, I don't need sleep. My back doesn't hurt. I need sleep. That's it. If I don't sleep, and it's hard on tour to sleep, if I don't get, I mean, I need about 5 hours. If I don't get 5 hours of sleep, that's when I'm starting to feel like, oh fuck, my throat's going. But I can scream night after night, but I need a little bit of
I
sleep.
agree with you. To me, like I can say right now, if they're like Sean, you're going to be in a band. I give say you guys bring me in the first week, there would be an article in the news. New guy in the band kills the entire band, be like a mass murder thing, and then the police report would say something about bad back, too many farts in van, closed space area. I'm too old for this, and then
Yeah.
life in jail because I don't think I could cope doing that. So just it's always kudos to guys for you guys keep doing it, keep waving the flag of music.
It's hard too, and you have to really learn respect almost more than anything, because when you're stuck in a van and everybody has their position seats, you have to make a position seat, because if not, there will be a fight. But then you have the same guy behind you, the same guy to the right, the same guy over here, and you'll just be like, motherfucker, you gotta breathe like that. You hate the way that they breathe. You hate the way that they always
It
look.
sounded like the worst family trip ever.
Yeah, exactly. And you just have to figure out how to get through that and just keep your mouth shut. Just go into, and it's funny, if you talk to a lot of bands, the idea is every night you're blasting music and talking. No, the van is almost silent. Everybody puts their headphones in. That's how you
Yeah.
know a band has been together for a long time, when they don't talk.
It's also a marriage too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm married to a lot of people.
yeah, it's insane. And the thing is, with that, and people talk now and they get a musician, they're like a lot of times, almost by the time you're in the interview process, and that's kind of what you were doing prior to being in the band. You had the world's longest punk interview process to get
Yeah.
into the band. Because what it is a lot of bands, by the time at a certain level, they're bringing somebody in, they kind of know your chops pretty much. The only
Mm-hmm.
things they're standing now is how well do you guys write together? And really, what kind of human being are you? Because that is almost the top thing. Are you a worker? Are you kind? How do you respect people? It's not the rock and roll drinking thing anymore. Oh, this dude parties are cool. It's daily raw thing. No, it's
Yeah.
like how does he treat everybody? And how is he behind the scenes? And how is he going to be on the road? Because that's some people rather have almost a less of a musician. Not to hurt the band, but like a less of a musician than a rock star. Like a bunch of
Yeah.
extra licks or something with flashier
Yeah.
clothes, but he's a jerk to be on the road with.
Yep.
You really
That's
want a family member.
no, dude, and it's funny. I've never heard it worded that way, but that is one of the truest things ever. Is it's just like, again, joining the Casualties, I didn't feel like I couldn't really join the band and be part of like the fourth member until after these two big tours, because sure, we're fucking like family. We're great friends, but can we live together in that van? I had no fear that I couldn't pull off the stage part,
Right.
and they knew that too. But can we really work together? And it wasn't worth it for me to ruin our complete friendship. Now our friendship has dynamically changed since joining the band, but I'm grateful that this is an experience like you just I can't even word it. It's you know a lot of people use the word family too loosely, but when you are in stuck together, you have a different bond, man. And it's true, just like you said, somebody may look cool and be the partier. It's like the funniest example is, let's use a big example like Sid Vicious or something.
Right.
Young people will be like, oh dude, he's fucking cool and pissed off and drunk, and that picture of him in like San Antonio where he got hit in the face and he's bloody. Could you imagine what kind of mess it would be like to be with that guy? I can guarantee you that he was probably crying every night because he's in withdrawal, didn't give a fuck about you or anybody else. And you know, I got very lucky. Crumbums went on tour one time with the Germs. The Germs, they're like one of the most infamous and famous and well-known and loved punk bands of all time. One of the American, you know, wow, punk band. But that's now. Back then, they never went on tour, ever. Darby had died before they kind of got famous or before they got very well known. So there was a movie made, and we ended up going out on tour with them. And the actor Shane West, great guy, went on tour with them. They just wanted to do something, and he has the whole fucking band, original band, except for of course Darby. But I got lucky, and I got to hang out with Pat Smear from Nirvana and Foo Fighters, and we were in Salt Lake City, and one day we were like having some drinks and talking, and I think I had like a Darby button, like somebody had given me this Darby button, and he said, man, he's like, do me a favor, don't ever get into that shit, man. And he's like, you think Darby was like fun to be around? He's like, I loved him, he's like a brother to me, but that fucking drug will fucking eat you up. It's not what everybody thought. It's not that pin. And so it's like you said, a lot of times it's not the flashy cool guy that everybody loves. It's the guy that can keep his shit together. That's really, you know, the guy that makes that fucking engine run.
Which is, and if you look back, you know, look at Pat. I mean, perfect example. Look what Pat's gone on to. The quietest guy. You know, he wasn't a maniac. He was a crazy musician, player,
Yeah,
in a good way.
the best,
But he
dude.
wasn't like a maniac as a human being. He's always a very kind person.
Dude,
And look what happens. Look where he is. You know.
oh
I mean, unfortunately, he ended up in two other smaller bands.
yeah,
But I mean, right? But because of who he is and his skills and his personality, if he was a jerk, he wouldn't have
it would
continued
have
on.
no way. The softest, kindest. I will never ever stop feeling so grateful for that time. We went out we did the whole US, maybe about a month on tour together, and ended here in Austin, and we just had the best time ever, and just great guy.
Yeah, he seems very, very cool. Let's talk. So let's talk about being in a new band and the family. The other task usually was, besides touring, is writing of music. So you had your own bands that you started, and you were kind of a lot more the centerpiece of them. Joining an established band, and then you guys did an album.
Yeah,
What was the challenge? Was it once again? Was it a new feeling out situation?
it
You
was.
go in and first, if I want to say, I'm sorry, let me step on you. Unfortunately, good and bad for everything. You're jumping into a legacy of a band that's been around for a long time. I mean,
Yes.
I've started listening to you guys more recently, but I've always been aware of the band. Now, that being said, you can handle your own, and the reviews have been through the roof of like how you jumped right in because you're not trying to be that artist. You smart
Yes.
move, and I don't think the band would let you. And I don't think that's who you are, so I don't think that was even a thought. But there's still the dynamic of when everything goes away and all the fans or whoever you want to call them are gone. It's Dave and the Casualties have been friends for all these years, and you know you got
Yeah.
the chops. But how do you guys mesh in a room?
Well, you know, your wording things is amazing. And you know, I really appreciate
Autism for you.
I appreciate the way you looked into it, because that was the main thing. It was like me joining was everything happened out of fucking nowhere. Um, the drummer, Meggers, is my roommate, and they had been out on tour for like, I don't know, maybe 2 years nonstop. Like I never saw him. It was like the best roommate ever. And never once did we even talk about it. And it just happened that I needed to fill that position for one show. Did it, and we meshed so well. And then after the big tours, said, "Hey, let's do this. Let's do this for real." And my first thing was, I cannot be Jorge number two. I'm not him. I can't sing that way. I don't write that way. And the response that you would pray and hope to get is exactly what I got. They said, we don't want that. That's not what we want. We want you to be you. And also, though, you have to have a respect for the way. What if I came in and just said, okay, all different. So I need to respect the way that they play. And it's different, it's just like different cooking styles. They're like Mexican, Asian, Indian have similar things, but they're different, that's how all these bands are. They're different styles.
And generally, they can work together really well. They can kind of help each other out. Like the Chinese food pizza on YouTube. That looks delicious.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's what we did. We got in there, and they really gave me the opportunity, because for me, when I write lyrics, a lot of they are a bit darker, and I want to write something that people want to break shit to, but also want to help people. I want to connect in that way, and that's who I am. And excuse me, they gave me that opportunity to do it. And there was some things that they weren't used to, and some things that I wasn't used to. But at the end of the day, it came together. There's a funny example. We have the song 1312. Kind of anti-police song. And when I heard it, it was this very almost like marching protest vibe to it. And the song Borders is against, Trump. And at first, me and Jake were talking. He's like, it sounds like just like you're just scream, not going to the musical vibe that I'm trying to create. But once we said, okay, give me a chance to word it, and then he said, give me a chance to write some music to it. When that came together, it was a big mesh of the way that I do my vocals and the way that he plays guitar and Rick plays bass. And it really vibed. And Meggers is an extremely good orchestrator from the drums, and being in this band forever,
Right.
He's a very interesting character of the band, because he's like looking, from the back down. Okay, that worked. Put this together. Try it like this, and
Mm-hmm.
dude, we were able to write like a family, and it was very interesting, and it took a little bit of time. I can remember being frustrated. I want it like this, but that's not a band.
How it goes? No,
it's not how it goes. And
you can do a solo album though, if you want it that way, and that's it.
Exactly. So it worked out, man. And I love, sometimes I'll have these arguments, even with Starving Wolves. This song isn't working. This doesn't sound, and people get frustrated. But it's like putting a puzzle together. When things are difficult, for some reason, I really start to enjoy it. All right, put this piece here, try this piece here. And until they wiggle in right, it doesn't work. But when you get that puzzle piece that fits, boom.
I agree. I am very passive until I have a big challenge that I have to jump in 120%. Otherwise,
I
can't be bothered. I'll just kind of ledge through it, but like really, the one in front of me, I got to really kind of sink my teeth into it and have a lot of, not control, but a lot of effort into it. And,
But that's where the meat is. That's where the struggle is. Every once in a while, you'll get lucky and you'll write a fucking great song, just like, oh, I had this little beat in the shower and I was singing it, and then just so happened he had the guitar, and you'll write a whole song. Like, and it might be one of your biggest songs ever, and you wrote it in 5 minutes. But that's one song out of 50. Usually you have to work. And when you're working on it and spending weeks, songs, people don't realize songs sometimes take years to finish. But what, like I said, when that last piece goes in, that's the fire, dude.
Well, you want to write music because you want to write it, because nowadays, like I said, touring and albums are really just almost like the advertisement part, and the money part is really the merch at this point. If the venue doesn't take, you can, 20% or whatever they're doing nowadays, So which is insane. And I didn't even know that until a few years ago. I'm like, the venue actually takes more money again. Jeez.
Dude, it sucks. You have to learn, and it's funny, you have to learn to be like a schemer in a way. You're like, okay, like in Krum Bums, we'd be like, they're gonna take a percentage and they'll send somebody over to count all your merch. So we're like, okay, like,
use one of those old fashioned things, so they're like click, 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 kind of
they have somebody just like a little Nazi pointing counting every pin. And so you're like, put 10 t-shirts in your pants, go out to the van, pretend you're drinking a beer, and bring 10 more shirts in. So at the end of the day, like, how many did you sell? We sold 5 shirts. And you're like, take the money, because they'll send people over to kind of watch. So we're like, figure everything out. Okay, act like you don't have a lot of merch, so you just look, like you don't even have that. How could you even sell that much? You only brought 15 shirts. So we always have these little weird tricks back in the day.
Well, it's funny because you think you're like, man, I went punk band because I didn't want to be doing school, I didn't want to be doing math, and now I'm like a little business manager trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, it's like, you don't give me a percentage of the fucking bar, so you don't get a percentage of my shirts.
It's just I don't know, it's the worst. That is one. It's just for another music venue to do that. But on this album, I do want to find out on the album, you guys do it. It holds strong. It doesn't compare. It's just like another companion piece to the collection of albums done. When I go back, when I talk to somebody, I kind of like to go back and compare and do it side by side. Well, if you're on Island, a side by each. But I really want to do it, and it's interesting because, like I said, it doesn't. You guys don't step on each other's toes vocally or creatively, but you honor what it is. You bring in what you are, and you weren't far off the beaten path style wise, like music to begin with. So it's not like you had to change. It's like a guitar player joins a band. You want to hear some of the solos, but you can put a little flavor onto other parts of the songs too. It's really finding that sweet spot, where you can honor the band and honor yourself. Because if you do both, the success rate is going to be huge. If you're doing one not justice, either the fans are going to eat you alive, or you're going to be so miserable after a couple of albums, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to do a solo thing. I'm going to go start another band. I'm just not happy. I'm a karaoke guy, and you don't want to do,
Dude, you fucking are a wild man, because that was my term too. I was like, I'm not going to do karaoke, and it's just you're hitting every point. And but that was it, dude. I'm not gonna be a karaoke guy. And my ego involved was very scared. Like, am I gonna get eaten alive? Because it's not a safe feeling to change singers at all. But I will tell you that the changeover was one of, you're always going to get people, fuck you, where's Jorge, blah, 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 blah. You're not that. But it was very small. It was not enough to keep me up an extra 30
Probably
seconds.
the same people that complained to him each album, it sounded differently.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just people that want to talk. And it was a very smooth, respectful change. I respect the music, and I think more than anything, I respect our audience. I hate to use the word fan, I hate that word, but I just personally, I
You
get
know, a
it.
lot of artists have been saying that more and more lately because it feels like they've been using the word family more because nowadays we don't really think personally your family, like to me family is somebody I care about, and it's not assumed now. It's like, oh, it's so and so, aunt so and so, or uncle so and so, the creepy guy in
Yeah,
the garage or something. You have to love your family. I think generationally a lot of us, I think we're on the same age, don't always assume like just because they're your family you don't love them same. But so when you say family, you treat someone like a family at that point, that means someone you respect and you love and you care about to a certain level. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, if they're somebody you don't know personally, there's still a level of care and respect you want for them as a human being because there's a common piece there.
yeah,
I hate to say music is a commodity. What is that commodity? It's emotion. You know,
yeah.
so emotion is music, and that is the commodity that you share. And stuff can come from it. Good things, whether it's emotional or financial, but it's all is the wellspring.
And on top of that, one thing that made it work so well is I know literally 50% of every show of the people there because I've been touring so long. Like
Right.
I've seen kids that were 14 when I was in Krum. Now they're bringing their kids to the show. So there is this family aspect, and
Mhm.
it's like, dude, I'm most of my communication with people is people that I've known for 15 plus years.
Years.
And another thing with the Casualties is they they didn't really, for lack of a better term, pussyfoot around with me. It was like we within a year of me being in the band, we were in the studio recording our first record together, and then we finished that record literally and flew out to LA before we did a tour. Like 3 days between a tour, we went to Colorado to the blasting room with Bill Stevenson from Descendants,
Mhm.
recorded this record. The day that we finished it, flew to LA, played 2 shows, and then recorded a live record because we wanted to kind of give respect to where the Casualties are. And it was this very awesome way of me paying respect because I think we did one new song, but a lot of old songs. It's called Until Death. So we
Yep.
did the live record kind of in a way of saying like, hey, I I can do this. I respect what the history, and it's kind of a way of saying let's do this together.
Well, that was
And
probably the biggest year for you guys because, and for them up until that point, not take away from like because they had to re-establish themselves with a new singer and say,
yeah,
hey, we respect the past, but we're also moving forward, something new, something old together,
yeah.
and it's going to be great. And that's a hard balance because were they 20, 19 years in already? 20 years? I don't even know. I can't even.
Me either.
Yeah, if I wanted to do math, I'd have like one of those abacus here. We'd be doing a
Yeah,
math geometry
that
show, and I'm
little
not good at
little
that. Yeah, and that's why
showing
we're
my
doing
age.
music. We're doing a music show, so I don't. The point is, the loyal fans, needed to see like, oh, where's this going to go? Yeah, he's pretty cool. Luckily, a lot of the fans have gotten older and realize that. You know, but being in a band, it's like being in the same job every day, but except you have to get in a van and drive somewhere and not sleep and then do your job again. You know,
Yeah,
and that's a challenge to keep it
it, it
fresh after all those years.
it is, and like I said, I think one of the things is that these dudes never stop. There's not even time to think about it. They do it. They do it amazingly. Like from an outsider's point of view, again, I've never ever seen a band tour like the Casualties. And another thing that I respect and really fell in love with their ethic of things was there was a tour that Krum did, and they brought a band from Japan, Extinct Government, flew them over, paid for it, and brought
Wow.
them. They want to share that vibe. And it's always been a big part of the Casualties that a lot of people don't really understand. And again, one of my first tours with them, we played a nice big show in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And then we played literally between there and Buffalo, between New York City and Buffalo, we played at an kind of an abandoned warehouse where people were making corn on a little barbecue pit and selling it. And somebody brought the PA system. It was like a little DIY spot. And that's what we'll do.
Fun.
It's fun. It's connected. And like I said, dude, we played that huge festival in Poland, thousands of people. And the next day, we're playing at a bar the size of a normal little tiny house. And that's the connection. And that's what I think keeps it fresh.
No, that's fantastic. So we're gonna have you back again,
Yeah.
But to just put a point on the two, we'll also talk the last one on what's going on with the band coming up. The people that are watching, the fans, I already know you guys. But my last question and comment is: did you guys? It almost looks like with most punk, the artwork, especially I'd say your last two bands, well, this one and the Starving Wolves, like even in the merch, the artwork is so cool. Like, where is that? Coming from? Because,
dude, for me, art. And I'll speak kind of mainly from my perspective. I can't say for everybody else, but art and music go together. So it's like the Exploited. You can see the Exploited skull, and you know it. And I have such a crazy respect for artists. I get this from my dad. Like, I have art all underneath my bed between the mattress and the box spring, like, because I can't stop. And so we'll make a connection with an artist, and just I've got to work with them. I've got to do something. Mark Lyons, that drew the cover for the Casualties record, he did artwork for Krum Bums maybe 15 years before, and he helped kind of with the concept of the Starving Wolves art. And I get too nerdy, and I could talk for 30 minutes on this of what is the vibe of the record? What am I trying to say? And, like Starving Wolves, the idea is just, it says it all. And I hope that people, how probably we grew up, when I got a fucking record, I took that home like a comic book, and I looked at the art, and I couldn't even put the record on yet. I'm pulling the sleeve out, and when I put it on, I'm reading every word, and then there would be some art and photos.
Literally everything that's literally we talk. I have a record show we do too. Literally what we do, we talk about, these are all the same people. We do that. Who did this? Who produced this? Who did this song? Who co-wrote this one? Pictures on the bus. It's like, what's the artwork? What's the theme here? It's, that's the whole. It's a finished product, is what it is. And I love the shirts. I love the wolf designs you have.
Yeah,
those are just some really standout.
And that's
graphics.
That's the vibe of us as musicians. Like, we're fucking starving wolves. And we have this other logo. It's like a jawbone and 6 arrows. And my good friend John, he like tour manages GBH, great dude. And he wrote me one day, and he goes, okay, we have this little weird connection. He's like, all right, give it to me. I'm like, what? He's like, what does the 6 arrows mean? He's like, I know there's something. I know you. And the 6 arrows is like, there's 5 of us, and a 6th arrow is us, like the crowd, the people. So together, that's what we have. That's the band. The band is not just us, because there's no way that we could do what we're doing without us, meaning the crowd and the people that participate, right. The art. everything. So it's not just the band, and that's one of those. That's like I said, I love this little nerdy fucking shit. Some people might not give a fuck, but I love it, and I love, it's like this, like these skateboards. Like, look at that classic Eddie and all this,
Those are great. I like to know there's a full thought in the whole thing. There's a whole team or a whole, not a team, but a flowing thought that goes through everything.
Eddie from Iron Maiden. Come on, who doesn't love Eddie?
I don't know.
Eddie as big as Iron Maiden.
What the thing is, in a good symbol has become a trademark. And I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, you're like, I got an Eddie shirt. Like, which Eddie shirt do you get? Sometimes you get a bunch of different shirts because it's different designs. Like, it's not even about Iron Maiden at that point, or
Yeah.
or the Van Halen logo, the Danzig logo, Exploited is a great one. The Descendants,
Yeah,
design
Milo.
the face. Milo, you know that there's certain things that are iconic and kind of trademarks, but they're also iconic on a level that
you need it, and it's a fun. For me, it's like it's like a tradition, from a kid. I just, we drew it on our notebooks and painted on your jacket, and that's what you want. You want
but
that.
You want a cool logo. Just because I like it, and I've actually gone to their sites and looked at it, I'm like, that's a stupid shirt.
Yeah,
I won't wear it. I'm like, I'm gonna go back and look. Man, I wish they'd make a cool shirt because I'm not gonna wear that. Or the graphics look weird, or it's kind of designed for somebody else. Like, I'm like, that's not the kind of fan I am. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like a classic logo is so cool, man. And you can tell it's like Danzig. You could go down a wormhole of how forward thinking this dude was, doing all the artwork for the Misfits back in the day. And that was so inspiring. I can remember when I was a little kid going to our record store here in Austin called Sound Exchange and seeing, it was like when Danzig first came out and he had that like on the cross with the wolf head, and it scared me, dude, because what is this shit? And it was so cool. You'll never forget that if you were a kid,
It's my first tattoo.
Yeah.
Everyone else is getting other stuff. I'm getting the Danzig skull. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
that was my first one. Yeah, it's because it's what it is. You know what I mean?
Sick. One day we got to talk more about this.
We'll do this again. We'll have you back again for more and more. Cool. I wanted to introduce you guys to the audience. I want to check you guys out. We'll put all the links of all your bands and everything you want underneath it. It's been a joy. Any plans for you guys, the Casualties? You want to say at the last minute, touring or anything? Or
we have some U.S. dates that are we're hoping is coming up in November, and it's kind of, dude, this mysterious time. What I can say is we got some good plans, and it will be very, very involved with the people.
Starting it depends on the weather. I mean, what goes on with the COVID. It's
exactly. This weekend, Starving Wolves are playing with iconic Zero Boys, and I'm just stoked. So we're just gonna keep writing and keep an eye out, because I promise you some cool shit's coming out.
But we'll post it too on social media when you have stuff. Send it to me.
Awesome, brother. Thank you.
This has been great. I want to thank you for being on the show, man.
Yep. Thank you, brother.